is Ellie, and today we are going to go over the books I read in 2025. I had a goal of reading 15 books this year that I set in August. I used to love to read a ton. I read all the time. I kind of stopped reading around 2017-ish. So reading became just not as fun as it used to be when I was a little kid. I was a big Wattpad person. I did read a lot of Wattpad stories, but I haven't picked up a physical book in a really long time. Then came along August, and I want to contribute me starting to read to a clip I saw of one of my favorite YouTubers, Kennedy Walsh. She was reading a book, and it was called Every Value Break, and she didn't even talk about it in the video that I watched. But for some reason, I felt really drawn to that book. I really, really wanted to read it. So in August, I picked up that book, and I started reading again. Or in July, I think. In July, I picked up that book, and I started reading again. I haven't been able to stop reading since, and just feel really happy that I picked up that habit again. In this video, I'm going to be going over the books that I have read and listened to throughout 2025. Starting with I'm Glad My Mom Died. This is by far my favorite book. I rated it 5 stars. I would rate it 10 stars if possible on Fable. I have read this book a total of 6 or 7 times. I've watched every single interview where she talks about this book. I also grew up watching iCarly, so I loved Jeanette McCurdy. And this just really changed the game for me. I recommend this book to literally everybody. I have listened to it, I have read it, I want to reread it again and annotate it because I haven't done that, but I am obsessed with this book. I love it. I do recommend listening to her audiobook because she narrates it, and it's just beautiful. It's so heartbreaking and funny, and it's so good. It is such a good read. I would also strongly suggest looking up trigger warnings for this book, especially if you did grow up in a pretty toxic household. It might be a hard read for you. However, it's such an amazing book. I 1000% recommend listening to the audiobook. On Spotify is where I listen to it. She narrates it. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. And her next book comes out in January of 2026, and it's called Half His Age, and I cannot wait to read it because I think Jeanette McCurdy is such an amazing author, and I can't wait to just buy every book she writes from here on out. I would also credit this to being one of the biggest reasons I got back into reading. The next book I listened to, I don't actually own, but I do want to purchase a physical copy of it, is called The House of My Mother by Sherry Frankie. I grew up in a toxic family, so I very much gravitate to books like Glad My Mom Died and The House of My Mother. I gave that book 4 stars. So proud of Sherry Frankie. She was fantastic. She narrated her book. I also listened to this book on Spotify. Love to get a physical copy, but it's so sad to think about that she went through all of this. I wish her and her family the absolute best, but her book, The House of My Mother, was fantastic, beautifully written. It was her first book. I really hope in the future she comes out with more books because I think she's a wonderful author, and I would love to hear all the other stories and things that she has to say. I do also recommend for that book looking up trigger warnings, especially if you grew up in a toxic environment. They can be really hard to listen to, and listen to trigger warnings as well, even if you're just sensitive to certain things, because there's there's a lot that happened. And moving on, took a decent break from listening and reading audiobooks. And then I watched Kennedy Walsh's video. She doesn't even talk about this book, like I said, but I just see a clip of her reading Every Value Break by Peter Swanson. And for some reason, it called to me, and I really wanted to read it. So I don't actually physically own this book, but I do want to purchase it. I read it from my local library, or I got it from my local library and started reading it. I finished it in 2 or 3 weeks. It was very, very good. Looking back on it, I may have rated this really high just because it was the book that got me back into physically picking up books and reading. I did rate it 5 stars. I think if I could go back, I'd probably rate it 4 stars, 4.5 stars, or 4.25 stars maybe. I really enjoyed it. It got me back into reading, like I said, so I just have a soft spot for it. But beautifully done book, beautifully written. It's a thriller book. It has a twist and it's phenomenal. So if you're looking for a thriller book with a twist, definitely go check it out. I do also have, from my local library, I just picked up 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson. I really enjoyed Every Value Break, so I wanted to give another one of his books a try, and I'm really excited to read that. Moving on, in August, I picked up Beware the Woman, which is another book that I think I saw Kennedy Walsh reading, and I really enjoyed that book that I found on her video, so I was like, let me try another one. Beware the Woman, I rated 3.25 stars on Fable. I did enjoy the book. There were some things, I think I enjoy a fast-paced book, or at least a medium-paced book. It felt really slow at the beginning, and it was really hard for me to get into, I guess, and it felt like a chore a little bit reading it up until about 70% into the book, and then it started to pick up, and I started getting really interested, and I finished it really fast once I got to that point. Very good book if you enjoy slow-paced books with twists and turns and all of the above. I started getting on Book Talk and BookTube, and I discovered Haunting Adeline. Listen, this book is a dark romance. It hooked me. I thought that I was going to absolutely just hate this, if I'm being completely honest. And at the beginning, I was like, this is maybe not for me, And then I kept reading, and I was like, maybe this is exactly for me. Maybe I'm obsessed with it, and maybe I will get book 2 as well as everything that H.G. Carlton has ever written in her life. Fantastic. Rated Haunting Adeline 5 stars. Please look up trigger warnings. This is not for everybody. This is not at all for everybody. Take your mental health very seriously before picking up this book. There is a lot that goes on to it, but if you enjoy a nice little stalker dark romance, this is the one for you. Zaid is chef's kiss. I love this book so very much. I do want to read it again, and I want to annotate it. It's fantastic. Read this in, I think, 3 weeks. It is a thick girl, but fantastic. Loved this book. Rated it 5 stars. Moving on, I got the second part of the cat and mouse duet, Hunting Adeline. Listen, this was also a very good book. there was a part that I had to take a break for like a week before I could pick up the book because it was so hard to read, so disturbingly insane. I'm a horror girly at heart. I love horror movies and horror books and thrillers and everything like that. I've been obsessed with it since I was a little girl, so take that information and do what you will with it. I had to take a break from this book. That's how tough it was for me to read. I did rate Hunting Adeline 4.5 stars on Fable. It was a phenomenal read, but so hard to stomach. And I cannot remember if she's coming out with a third book, but I hope so, because I just need to see what happens in the third. Once again, please, 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 I cannot say that enough. Take your mental health into consideration before picking up this book. It is insanely hard to read. Look at the trigger warnings. Feel like I really wanted to read a self-help. So I picked up Don't Believe Everything You Think, expanded edition by Joseph. I'm not even gonna try to say his last name because I think I will just butcher it. I did start annotating when I read this book. Very short read, very beautiful. I rated it 4 stars on Fable, and it did help the way that I think a lot. I took a lot from this book, and there's also just beautiful quotes in it as well. I read this in a day, I think. Very, very good book. I would definitely pick it up. If you're into self-help books, this one really helped me, so I would definitely pick it. This one literally changed my life. Literally changed my life. Now listen. I tried to listen to the audiobook version of this, and I was just really tired. I couldn't do it. It was hard to listen to because the narrator was really quiet. But I picked up the book, and this is my most annotated book, I think, ever. It's fantastic. Such a good book. Literally changed everything. I picked up a habit tracker because of this book, and I have just, all in all, have been a different person since reading this book. So, and I can say that I have stuck with a lot of habits after reading this book. So this really did change my life. I recommend it to everybody. Also, if you're not into self-help books, this one's just so easy to read. I really still recommend it to you. I recommend you pick it up. It's fantastic. I think I got it for like $7 at a thrift store, so that was a steal. But just phenomenal. I would pick it up. I rated it 5 stars on Fable. It was fantastic. So pick up Atomic Habits by James Clear. Changed my life. I read Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. I rated it on Fable 4.75 stars. There were so many things that this book made me feel. I really want to go watch a show now, but I think it might be a little hard for me to watch. In the back of this book, she has historical facts. Everything that she wrote in this book has at some point happened. That is actually wild to me and insane and crazy. It did take me a while to get through. I think it was written in the 80s, I believe. So it was a little bit of an older writing style, I think. And that one, not that I didn't like it. It was just a little tougher, especially because I just picked up reading again, you know. But I did enjoy it a lot. But I do recommend everybody, honestly, reading this book. fantastic book. I rated it 4.75 stars on Fable. The next book that I read was called The Silent Patient. This is a lot of people's fave. It is a thriller book. My issue with this book was I rated it 3.25 stars. My issue with this book is 75 to 80% of it was so slow. And I just, once again, I'm a fast-paced girly. Takes a really long time to get to the good stuff. What I will say is when I get to the good stuff, mind blown. Fantastic. So many twists and turns. Amazing. I do recommend reading it. They are going to this is by Alex Michaeliadis. They are going to come out with a movie. I think this is a book that is going to have an insanely better movie adaptation, personally. But it is a good book, and if you enjoy a slow-paced thriller with twists and turns, definitely pick this one up. Moving on to my favorite book I've read this year, The Housemaid. Fantastic book. Rated it 5 stars on Fable. I would literally rate it 1,000,000 stars if I could. This is the book that it took my breath away. I could not put it down. I finished it in a day and a half. It was my favorite book this year, maybe aside from I'm Glad My Mom Died. I wrote so many little sticky notes in it. There's a bookmark in it currently because I'm forcing my husband to read it. This is what I mean when I wanted a fast-paced thriller. This was so mind-gripping. So I would read it and they would mention something and then I'd have a question. And that question didn't get answered till the end, but they kept bringing it up. It kept, I could not forget anything. I loved this book. Loved this book, and I am so excited that I read this book before the movie came out, and the movie is currently out right now, and I can't wait to go see it. I've heard fantastic things about the movie, which is so exciting. This is the book that got me into Frida McFadden. I suggest if you're trying to get into thriller or trying to get into Frida McFadden books, start with this one. Fantastic. So good. I was so obsessed with this that I went to my local library and I picked up The Perfect Son, which I've actually heard nothing about, so I'm excited to read that, as well as The Teacher, which I've heard fantastic things about, and they have a movie adaptation coming out as well. So, I think they just announced it too. So I'm very excited. I read this book while my husband read The Locked Door by Frida McFadden. And then we were going to tell each other about the books. And he started telling me about his. And I was like, no, you have to read this book. You have to read this book. It's so good. So good. And I am so excited to see the movie. Once again, if you're into thrillers, this is the one. Pick it up. So good. Moving on to the last book that I will probably read this year. I'm currently reading Lights Out by Navessa Allen. If I were to guess, before finishing this book, I think that it will be rated in the 3.75 to 4.5 realm, somewhere in there. I do enjoy the book. It's another dark romance, another little stalker vibe book. However, there's something about it being so modern that it's almost dystopian to me. It's really weird to say, but hearing them talk about thirst traps and social media is mentioned almost every single chapter so far. It's so, I don't know, something about it is so weird to me. I guess most of my books take place in modern day, but something about hearing someone mention thirst traps and social media and stuff like that so often in a book, I don't know. It's a weird, it's dystopian. I don't know how to explain. And I don't know that I love that. That being said, I have not finished the book. I think I am only on chapter I think I'm on like chapter 9. So I'm gonna give it time. I'm gonna keep listening and reading because I'm kind of going back and forth with this one. And I will finish it. I'm not gonna DNF it because it's the last book I'm gonna read this year probably. But that is the last book that I will probably read this year, which put me at, I think, 12 books this year out of my 15 goal, but I set the goal for 15 books in July, so I think I still did pretty good. I do have a goal next year to read 50 books. I don't know if I'll do that. I don't know if I'll get there, but I really hope I can, and I can't wait to do this video again next year and tell you about all the amazing, or maybe not so amazing, books that I read. I think I'm going to end this video here. If you made it this far, thank you so much, and please leave a comment down below telling me your favorite book that you have read in the year 2025, as well as your least, the sun is coming out to blind me again, as well as your least favorite book that you have read in 2025. I can't wait to keep making videos for you guys. I have some fun things coming up. I will continue Hogwarts Legacy. I have been a little sick, a little under the weather, so I wanted to do something simple today. But I will continue it. I will be doing a lot more gaming content, a lot more Let's Plays. I plan to stream a lot of Dreamlight Valley next year, a lot of cozy games, as well as baking videos and art videos and cosplay and everything that piques my interest you will see here. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a happy holidays. And thank you guys so much for watching. I love you.